What's going on, NFTV family? This your host, 44K. The K stands for King K. Yo, we got a great show today. Hot topic today. President Trump was indicted today. So a lot of this information that I'm going to be using is on the Fair Usage Act, underneath the Fair Usage Act. So please bear with me as I pause the video to talk over the video so that I don't get any type of strike in regards to the video. But let me just play a short clip right here and then I'll stop. But before I do that, like, subscribe, share the video, get down in the comments. Let me know what y'all think. Is he guilty? Will the charges stick? Will he be found guilty? Will he serve time? Turn on that notification bell, but let's get to it.
To indict the former president of the United States, Donald Trump. He's now the first former president in American history to be criminally charged. It's a really significant development. I want to get your reaction to this unprecedented.
First president to be criminally charged. First president to be criminally charged. Let's remember that. Let's remember you had Bill Clinton and all his sexual escapades and everything like that. Never was charged with anything. You have Hillary Clinton, wasn't a former president, but was a senator, was a secretary of state. You have all the fraud associated with the Clinton Foundation. You have all the fraud associated with the donations going to Haiti. You have Bill Clinton supposedly going to Epstein Island, but you never had a president charged. You had Obama having to be fined for campaign fund violations. You had many governors and other people paying fines for campaign fund violation, but Trump is the one that gets indicted by a state level attorney. But let's keep going.
Well, I think the unprecedented indictment of a former president of the United States on a campaign finance issue is an outrage. And it appears to millions of Americans to be nothing more than a political prosecution that's driven by a prosecutor who literally ran for office on the pledge to indict the former president.
But it wasn't just, Mr. Vice President, excuse me for interrupting, it wasn't just the prosecutor, the district attorney in New York who did this. This was a grand jury of some.
So you have a prosecutor who made a political promise during his campaign that he would indict a former president of these charges. These same charges that federal prosecutors didn't follow through on, but a state level prosecutor felt like he had the power and the ability to go after a former president of the United States of America. But let's keep going.
23 people, and you need a majority, 12, to go ahead and criminally indict.
Well, I understand that, and been a long time since I was in law school, Wolf, but I remember the old saying, you can indict a ham sandwich, right? The threshold, the burden of proof is very low. Prosecutors make decisions, discretionary decisions about what they bring all the time. Federal prosecutors passed on this.
And that's the thing. Prosecutors make discretionary decisions all the time. And when you're weighing your options for that discretionary decision, you are weighing your options. You are taking advice from others. As a state prosecutor, you're going to the federal prosecutors. Hey, like, what do y'all think about this? Why didn't you guys pursue this? Why even now that Trump has been out of office so many years, why haven't you guys picked this up again to bring a federal charge against him? You ask those questions. And if this case was a open and shut case, a power case like this, a name making case like this, why haven't federal prosecutors picked up this case? Just a question.
Manhattan DA initially delayed it, passed on it. But when you have an attorney general in New York and a Manhattan DA that targeted one particular American in their campaigns, I think that offends the notion of the overwhelming majority of the American people who believe in fairness, who believe in equal treatment before the law. And this appears to be just one more example, Wolf, of the kind of two-tiered justice system that the American people have had enough of.
But your Justice Department, the Trump-Pence Justice Department, as you well know, they charged Trump's former attorney, Michael Cohen, over these very same payments and said he made them, and I'm quoting now.
So this is where we stand. This is my issue with this. It's the weaponization of the American legal system against a man that's running for his second term. And this is where I've been going back and forth on Twitter, having a debate with a couple of people, debated my cousin on this. This has never happened in history before. Ever. I named the stuff at the beginning of the show in regards to presidents who've done shady things. You had Reagan, who did Contra wars, and it came out after the fact that he used drug money allegedly to finance the Contra wars over there. And crack was being sold in the black community and things like that, and the proceeds from that was getting sent back to the jungles to finance this so-called war. That when that information came out, charges were never brought up against him as a former president. Nixon and all the things he was doing behind the shady deals, charges was never brought up against him. So you have the federal end of the government, Biden and them, the federal government. They saw the blowback that they received when they raided Mar-a-Lago for the documents, the top secret documents that should have been in the archives. They saw the blowback and how angry the American people were mad at that. So what do? So if you have a case federally and it's a slam dunk case, or it's a case that you feel is a winnable case, you would think that an ambitious federal prosecutor would want this case to make his name. He'll go in the chronicles of history as the prosecutor that took down Trump. Nobody has done that. Why is that? Because nobody wants, it's political suicide. Nobody wants to face the consequences of that, because win, lose, or draw, you're a pariah after that. You're going to be a pariah. So federally, I don't care what anybody says, federally, that's why federal prosecutors are not jumping on this case, even after William Barr is gone. Trump has been gone for years. You know what I'm saying? You have a Democratic majority in the Senate, but you have a Republican majority in the Congress. So things working, and you have a Democratic president. So things are in your favor if you were a federal prosecutor, where you could try to make your bones off of this. But why haven't they done it? Because they know it's political suicide. So what do? You got to bring in the fall guy. You got to bring in the patsy. And that's who this guy, this state attorney Bragg is. He's a patsy. Because you, as the president of the United States and over the federal government, you have to give yourself a degree of separation. And that degree of separation is having it brought as a state case. Oh yeah, this has nothing to do with us as a federal government. This is the state bringing the case. But are you telling me that you honestly believe that a state's attorney, without any green light from the federal government or the powers that be, without any green light, will have the cojones to go after a former sitting president? You got state prosecutors who have to get greenlit by the powers that be to go after CEOs of major companies that reside in their state, of senators and governors that have done certain things. You have state prosecutors that won't even do that without getting the proper permission to do that. So you telling me that it's no strings being pulled, is no puppeteering happening that would green light this gentleman, the state's attorney in New York, to be able to go after a sitting president? Let's not be that naive. Now, let's just say that you fall on the side of me, that you believe that it has been greenlit by the federal government and he has been promised certain protections and things of that nature, a cushy position, because he's never going to, once he's done with this, he's never going to work on in the high level of law again. He might get hired at a lobbying firm. If a Democratic president is reelected this following election in 2024, he might be put in a cabinet post or something like that. But he has to know this is career suicide legally for him. Like, win, lose, or draw, this is career suicide. But let's just say if you fall on the side of me, are we embarking in just dangerous Pandora's box territory? We all know that you have conspiracy theories with the assassination of Martin Luther King. You have conspiracy theories with the assassination of JFK, Malcolm X, you know what I'm saying, Fred Hampton, all these different individuals where we think that it was perpetrated by the federal government. But have you ever had it where it's so blatantly out in the open against a man that's running for re-election, that's running for a second term as president in 2024, and the person that he's running against is the current president of the United States? Have we ever seen anything like this? Because now we're getting in dangerous territories, because you know how our political system works. It's going to be tit for tat. So it's going to be tit for tat. So if Trump wins or DeSantis wins, the American people on the right are going to want blood. They're going to want you to go after Biden. They're going to want you to go after Biden's son. They're going to want you to investigate these positions Biden's son held on these foreign entities and money that was being passed out between Bear Biden's wife and his son and his brother and all these individuals that money was being broken up and given to. These people are protected now because they're the big guy Biden is in office, so he can protect them. But once he's out of office and he's gone, who's going to protect them? And we had norms in the past where it'd be like, nah, it'd be too much political blowback. It's too polarizing for us to even think about doing something like this. We wouldn't do anything like this. Nobody would even dare to do it, let alone a state prosecutor. But now that this is being done and it's being followed through to this level, now the gloves are off, and it's only going to cause the nation to fracture even more. So that's why this is so alarming to me, because what is it about Trump? That's what piques my interest, and that's what's always just piqued my interest with Trump as president, Trump in this political theater, in this time, in this moment that we're in. That's what piqued me about Trump, is what is it about this man that causes the government, the deep state, to go after him with such fury? What is he trying to do? What isn't he doing that is causing this? And that's what you guys in my audience should start to think about. That's the question you need to ask yourself. Why would you bring up the Ukraine thing? Why would you bring up Russiagate? Why would you bring up grabbed her by the you know what? Why would you bring up all these different things to tear this man down, politically drag his name, and you let things slide with all these other presidents because they were willing? Was it because they were willing to play ball? What is Trump not willing to play ball on that's so dangerous to both sides of the party, the Democrats and the Republicans? And that's what piqued me to start looking at things through a different lens. I'm not somebody that's a zealot. I'm not somebody that's a MAGA person or anything like that. I'm just somebody that's aware to the point where I have to, when something doesn't match up, it causes me to get curious, and it causes me to try to get a deeper understanding. And that's all that I want you as my audience to try to do. Try to get a deeper understanding and try to just take a step back, separate yourself from the Trump derangement syndrome, and ask yourself, why was Russiagate why was all this money spent on Russiagate and it turned out to be a hoax? You know, why were the January 6 tapes edited in a form and fashion to make it look like insurrection? Now, mind you, it was criminal things that happened in that. People should be held accountable for entering the Capitol. I'm not saying that at all. But why wasn't the whole tape released and showed people walking around? Why was federal agents entrapping individuals by working with them and riling them up to enter the Capitol? Why haven't they been interviewed or stories been written on that? All this stuff to prevent this man from getting another term in office. Those are the questions that I'm asking. But this right here, a state prosecutor getting the green light to indict a former president, and they want us to believe that the federal government doesn't have anything to do with this. He did this off his own volition. It's insane to me. But thank you all for checking in with me. I appreciate y'all. This is NFT TV Weekly. I'm your host, 44K. The K stand for Kincaid. Don't forget to like, subscribe, get down in that comment section, turn on that notification bell. And like I always say, man, I got an opinion, but it ain't gospel. Get down in that comment section. Let me know what you all think. But just ask yourself, open up that third eye, man. Start asking yourself, what is it that he's doing or he's not willing to do that's causing all this hate for this man? And then it might start opening your eyes to some other things. God bless and good night.